in, Iowa Hawkeye fans, to another episode of the Hawkeye Tailgate Report. I am Luke Myers. We have Joey and Stin here, like always, and we just witnessed the biggest win of our lifetimes this past Saturday as Iowa took down number 4 Penn State and moved up to number 2 in the rankings, that AP poll rankings. Fellas, Saturday was literally a dream.
It was unreal. Like, starting, well, actually, most of last week was unreal to begin with. But then beginning, like, Friday, like, right before noon, I would say, the vibe around the stadium and just the city in general that carried through all the way to yesterday was just unlike anything I've ever seen. And I've lived here for, 5 years now, and I've been here many times before that. It was unreal.
Yeah, I mean, especially as Iowa, you very, very rarely get an opportunity to not only be ranked within the top 5, but then also play another team ranked within the top 5 at home. And, I mean, I'd say that pretty much lived up to the expectations. I mean, from just the atmosphere, like, around the stadium to just the crazy noise level inside, all the prospects that we had there, that game itself, I mean, it goes down as, like, the best day in Iowa football that I've been alive for, and, top 1 or 2 or 3, since 1985 when we beat, number 2 Michigan as number 1. I mean, we don't get to live those days as Iowa football fans very often, so when it comes around, you gotta appreciate it, and it was goddamn awesome.
Yeah, right now I'm just soaking in the number 2. That just is amazing to me.
I texted my mom at the end of Saturday night because they went back to Dubuque County, and I texted her. I said, "This has legitimately been one of the best, like the happiest days of my life." And it sounds ridiculous to say that, but the Iowa Hawkeyes are my life. They are my personality. Like, it is everything, and it was completely perfect the whole day. Everybody was super energetic, positive, and excited for the game. There wasn't as much negativity that had been building up, like, say, before the Maryland game after we kind of sucked ass against Colorado State. Everybody was just ready to get at it. And we do have... Who would have ever thought? Would have you have ever put money that Iowa was going to be ranked higher than Alabama at any point in the near future, in the coming years for college football?
No, or Ohio State and Clemson. Like, let's take a moment to just appreciate the rarefied air that we're currently sitting in. And whatever happens for the rest of the season happens for the rest of the season. But the fact that Iowa Hawkeye football is sitting at number 2 right now, I mean, with the way that college football is these days, basically the top 4, without changing, is like, the top 5 is essentially like Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Georgia. Like, it's almost impossible to break in to that kind of group if you're not one of those 5. And we're sitting here today as number 2. It's almost like it's hard for me to express it in words, like how crazy it is.
I would argue that we're almost certainly, like, to the national media, whatever, those assholes can go get bent. We are, I would say, the most sturdy number, like, we are deserving of the ranking because we know who we are and we know what our identity is, Like, when you look at Alabama, they've struggled early on this year with their offense and defense a little bit, and it showed this weekend against Texas A&M. And then Oklahoma, they're still undefeated, but wow, do they look very bad right now, or haven't looked impressive in basically any of their games. The traditional powerhouses, they're not there right now, and there's going to be a case. It's going to come down to Alabama and Georgia. If Georgia wins that SEC title game, Bama will have 2 losses, and they're not going to make the college football playoff. If they do, there is going to be plenty of riots, plenty of fan bases upset about the college football playoff committee, and you can't blame them if that is the case, because
and that's going to be that's that if let's see. If Bama beats Georgia, they're going to do anything they can to get both of those teams.
They just both get in. I guarantee it.
So, which is going to suck for everybody else.
And that would be the worst for Cincinnati, I think.
Yeah.
For sure.
If we're speaking in
what
hypotheticals here.
Is if Georgia just loses a game throughout the regular season, and then that way, no matter what, a 2-loss team, like, you can't put a 2-loss team into the playoff. And I get, like, everybody since the college football playoff has been around, more or less complains that the same 4 teams only make it and nobody else does, and why do we even play the rest of the games? And then we get into a season like this year when shit is just kind of hitting the fan. Like, the traditional powerhouses are not what they were, and other teams, even group of 5 teams like Cincinnati have like a legitimate shot of making the playoff. And then as soon as we finally have a year where we can shake up the power structure, just to have one different year of different teams playing, then everybody in the national media goes, yeah, well, if you put, this team and this team, Alabama and Cincinnati or Alabama and Iowa on a neutral field, Alabama would win 9 times out of 10. Might be the case, but guess what? That's why you play the goddamn games. So this year is like probably the best year for college football in a long time because it gives the other programs their actual opportunity, and like anything can happen. So it's awesome. This year college football is awesome.
Yeah, the best thing that could happen for everybody that's not an SEC homer is for Georgia to beat Alabama in the national championship, because I cannot imagine them putting a 2-loss
in the SEC championship.
an SEC championship, because I cannot imagine them putting a 2-loss Alabama team who lost to an unranked A&M team and Georgia in the playoff. So I think that's the best scenario for everybody. And I mean, we're being awful presumptuous that we'll even be in the conversation by then. But
well, here's how the playoff's going to look. I would bet my life on this. It's going to be, if Georgia wins, or if Alabama wins the SEC championship game, it'll be Alabama and Georgia are in. And then it will be the Big Ten winner, regardless of if it's Ohio State, Michigan.
Only if that team has 1 loss.
Yes, it will be only if that team has 1 loss. But I'm presuming that of Ohio State, Iowa, Michigan State, there's going to be a team that only has 1 loss and probably wins the Big Ten.
I don't know. I think the only 1-loss Big Ten team that, if Bama and Georgia both make it, the only 1-loss Big Ten team that could make it would be Ohio State, I think, because there's bias there, and
I don't know. It depends on how a lot of things are going to shake out. I mean, like we said, this year has been crazy for college football already. I'm sure it's going to continue to be even more batshit crazy as we get into like the meat of teams' conference schedules now. We're talking a whole lot about the college football playoff and stuff, which, fun to have that conversation, but right now let's talk about fucking Iowa and Penn State. Let's live in the moment, because who the hell knows what's going to happen. Let's just not look too far in advance and just let's talk about the game, because it was one for the freaking ages.
Yep.
For Iowa. Like, we're not going to forget that game in our lifetime. That's how significant it was.
No, I was texting my cousin who had 2 of her kids there with him, and the young boy's a huge Iowa fan. For years now, he's known way more about Iowa sports than I did at his age. But I texted her and I said, I hope Henry remembers that game for the rest of his life, because I was at the Penn State game in 2017, and the electricity in Kinnick Stadium in 2017 was unreal. It was the best I had ever seen. And then the fourth quarter of Saturday's game will never be topped in my life. I can guarantee you that. Especially the final 2 possessions where we needed defensive stops. If I could, that is a literal drug to me. It gives me goosebumps all the time. It makes me high. Like, it was unreal how great Kinnick Stadium was on Saturday night.
The hotel was pretty cool too.
I mean, me and Joey were not at the game. We didn't have tickets, so we just watched it from the hotel across the street. But I can't imagine that there was a single place that you were watching that game in Iowa City, whether it was at the game, on a tailgate of a pickup truck, at a bar, at the hotel rooftop, wherever you were. Like, Iowa fans were so jacked up and so intensely into this game. They like, even like everybody that I was with was obviously not at the game, and people still brought it there. Like the energy surrounding everything was just chef's kiss. Fucking,
Iowa won the game if you were to ask them how they would want to win the game before, it was exactly how they would want to win it. Defense, special teams, and having the ability to run the ball to open up play action. And I don't know where to start here. I'm just going to say that Reganey touchdown is why they run the ball relentlessly right at the defensive line for 3 quarters.
Yeah, I mean, like
I think it'd be giving them too much credit to say that was their game plan all along, was to just get stuffed repeatedly.
Yeah.
And
that's
so
not the goal, but it's a big part of it. You know, they understand that it's not going to be there.
It's a positive outcome of the situation, I think.
Yeah, I mean, just running the ball is Iowa's identity. We've talked about it before, but like Iowa's not, your Texases of the world. We're not trying to throw the ball 55 times in a game. So our game plan is run the ball, control the clock, play great special teams and defense, and that's just kind of what it is, a result of us, running the ball or trying to establish the run for as long as we do is that eventually, the play action could open it up. But I'm not going to go as far to say as like we just fucking bash our guys right into the defensive line specifically so we can have one deep shot on a play action ball in the fourth quarter of a game. I mean,
well,
really,
no, I disagree with you. I do think for years and years that's been the game plan for the majority of the games. Like I can remember Nebraska in 2015. We always used to bitch about running run plays to the short side of the field with Kanziri. And then against Nebraska, it busted twice in the same game. So it's like it's beating a dead horse, yes, but it does end up working a time or two by the end of the game.
It seems to me that you're distilling it down to like Iowa runs the ball to try and get 2 good play action passes a game, that can obviously not be like what they're trying to do the whole time. Like, yes, obviously establishing the run helps open up the play action, but in a more positive world, or just whatever you want to say, like we're not trying to only get 2 good play action passes out of our run throughout the game. Like we're trying to run the ball for good positive yardage, and then that opens up our receivers kind of more in general because they have to sell out more to stopping the run. Like, yes, play action helps off of an established run game, but to say that it's our entire game plan to open up the play action by running it, I think is short-sighted and kind of disrespectful to just the offense as a whole. Because it's a lot more complex than just run the ball, hope you can hit one play-action shot, You should realistically be trying, wanting everything to work, because if everything works, the whole playbook is kind of open instead of, you have to do one thing in order for the other thing to maybe work.
Let's not forget... In all of this, let's not forget the real reason we won this game. Because Sean Clifford got hurt, right?
Okay.
I'm joking.
Yeah, I know.
In the moment, I did say that I thought that played a big role. But the more I've thought about it, obviously, it's a completely different ballgame if they have their starting quarterback for the whole game. I'm not saying we win. I'm not saying they win. But when he went out, we scored on the very next drive, making it 17-10. So it was a set 1-score game at the point that he went out, and our defense is not necessarily known for this, but a couple of games they've gotten better as the game progressed, and you saw that our defense obviously got better. They did it against Maryland. They did it against were we down? Colorado State. Yeah. So our defense heats up as they go along, and I think that just made a big difference as well.
Yeah. And Clifford obviously was playing better than their backup, but let's not be crazy and say that he was just picking apart our defense, throwing the ball or anything. For the most part, their success was through screen passes that they were getting like 5 to 10 yards off of, and then Clifford extending plays with his legs and resulting in like first downs and stuff like that. He had thrown 2 interceptions. He wasn't bombing the ball on us. He wasn't like hitting every single pass. It's like, yes, he is obviously better than what their backup was, but let's not like go out and say he's like going to win the Heisman, because he was not having that type of game.
I actually think an even bigger factor after the Clifford injury was not the fact that a backup quarterback came in, but the fans, I think, sensed that, okay, this is potentially good for us. The fans, I think, maybe got more engaged at that moment, and then they got super loud, and that's when you started seeing all of the false starts coming in waves. Because right after that, was it the first possession that they had? We had just come off a touchdown. They get the ball, correct? And then they had the 3 false starts in a row.
Yeah, something like that.
So I think that the fans, like, because I saw that the one of the guards for Penn State had to turn around and actually like let the center know when the backup was going to be ready to go, and that doesn't have anything to do with the backup quarterback being inexperienced. I think that is strictly noise in the stadium.
Well, and it wasn't just the regular play calling either. It was on a punt inside their own 5. The blockers in the back had trouble hearing, and there was a ton of miscommunication, and they were like arguing, telling them where they're supposed to be on a punt formation. So yeah, the fans were electric. There's no doubt about that, and it changed the game. What did they have? 8 total false starts.
About 9.
Yeah. It was a lot.
That's yeah. Home field advantages are usually garbage in my opinion, but when you have something with the capabilities of that is a game changer. But like Iowa's defense has done this all year, and I think this is what turns national media off on Iowa, is that they allow teams to score early. Like, think of every game so far this season. Iowa State got 10 points in the first half. Colorado State got, 14 in the first half or whatever. Penn State was able to move the ball a little bit on the first couple drives of the game. I was next to the guy I have season tickets with. I was sitting next to him, and at halftime I said, Penn State's not going to score again. They got a field goal, but it wasn't a touchdown. And I don't even know if they crossed the 50 after the field goal in the halfway through the third quarter. So that just goes to show, I mean, our defense gets better with age, which usually that's the opposite of regular football teams and regular football games. But this defense is just built a little different. I mean, 4 interceptions from 4 different guys again. Go figure. Although Riley Moss will be out for probably a month, I'd imagine, at least, right? Has anybody heard that?
I'm not going to speculate on injury. He's not on this week's depth chart, but I don't think Kirk has really made an announcement as to the extent of the injury, so I haven't heard anything about it, so I'm not going to speculate about it.
All right. And then, I mean, we could talk about, we could do a whole podcast on our defense and special teams, because Pat McAfee he is the biggest Tory Taylor fan in the country this week, I think. Because I don't know if that was the first game he's ever watched, but he had 6 punts inside the 12 and 3 punts inside the 3-yard line.
Yeah, that first punt that he just sauced, like, I think it landed at the 1 and just like
backed it up, Terry.
Yeah, it has been. I don't know if it's ever happened where Iowa's had a punter that can do that on that consistent of a basis. And especially in a game of that magnitude where field position and crowd plays such a role, that is so huge. I think he's hands down the MVP from that game.
And probably the MVP for our season.
Who
very individually has more consistently played at the level that he has. Tyler Linderbaum.
You could probably argue a couple guys on the defense.
Jack Campbell.
I'm just saying.
Campbell.
Iowa's entire way of winning this year is play taking advantage of special teams, then using that field position to turn a team over and have a short field to score for our offense. Like, that's basically been the formula for success for the entire season. So it all starts with Torrey Taylor pinning teams, like, inside the 20 or, like, more often than not, the 10-yard line.
Yeah,
Like,
and
it's kind of weird, and it's Iowa football. There's kind of no other way to describe it, but, like, we're kind of riding the success of our punter right now to, like, how well we've been playing.
And think of our three punters before Sleep Dalton 2 years ago and Taylor the last 2 years here. Like, we had Dylan Kidd, Cornbreath, and Colton Rostetter were our punters. It was the worst part of our team all of those years. Like, it's just amazing how much of a difference a good punting unit can make. And I think that's most of the reason why Iowa fans are basically blowing it in their pants right now for Torrey Taylor is because we know what it's like to have terrible, 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 terrible kickers.
We just got to keep that Aussie pipeline going.
Yeah, who is that pipeline connection? Is that LeVar strictly?
Well, I don't know.
I think a lot of teams employ Australian punters these days.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm watching my girlfriend's family's dogs here, and they're getting rowdy. Shut up! All right. Yeah, but...
Way to tell them.
Well, I'm not Michael Vick here. I'm not going to do anything drastic, you know? But special
Sometimes
teams... What?
Rock them up. Nothing.
But we're an anti-animal abuse podcast, so just put that out there. But yeah, I mean, Charlie Jones didn't get a chance to really do anything in the return game this week. Shout out to Penn State's punter. He was a very, very good punter as well and kicker. But Shudak, again, that dude is ironclad.
Money.
He is all of Keith Duncan. Sorry, Keith. But he is an unreal kicker. He puts every kick through the end zone. I'm not sure he's had a kick returned yet this year on kickoffs. Not that I can think of, at least.
Pretty sure Penn State returned a couple of them this week.
Did they?
Almost certain.
Well, fact check me. Twitter's at Myers_Luke. Chirp me if you want. But all around, special teams again, one of the best in the country. Shout out LeVar Woods. I saw him on the field after the game. Thought about giving him a butt tap, but I didn't. Although, did you see that picture of him hugging his kids and he had tears running down his eyes? That's good quality content right there. Other notes from this game, Petrus started 1 of 9 with an interception that wasn't his fault. And then...
that interception was his fault.
It
Yeah.
hit off the hands of the receiver.
It hit off one hand, and it was hot and high and behind him.
There was no way that anybody's catching that ball. That was not on the receiver.
Austin Myers said last week on the podcast...
If you can get both hands on the ball, that ball was behind him and high, and he was only able to get one hand on it. I'm not putting that one on the receiver.
After that, after starting 1 of 9 with an interception, he ended 16 for 22 with 2 touchdowns. So... Again, he had like 190 yards too. After a bad start, he showed he has the capability to come back and lead an offense when he needs him to, and he certainly did that. Any comments there? Otherwise, I'm going to just keep rolling down my notes.
He's efficient, not sexy. I think I made the comment, he seems very cool and collected like at almost all times, even when he's like struggling.
He's not nervous. Am I only what was that?
I was just going to say, like, it was nice that he was able to, like, kind of put that early woes behind him and come back and still have, a decent game. But in a perfect world, we wouldn't have to have that kind of, like, early game ugliness because it puts us in a bad spot. And, like, we're fortunate that our defense is as dominant as it is, that it can keep us in games. But, like, if, our defense has not just a bad first quarter, but they play a bad whole game, like starting out the way that we did on offense could kind of bury you like out of an insurmountable hole. So like while I have complete faith in our defense to continue to perform at the level that it has, it would be better for our offense to just kind of bring it from the start of the game. But I'm also not trying to diminish that offense, or really, I'm not trying to diminish Penn State's defense, because they were just also legitimately very, very good. Like, by far and away, the best defense that we'd played this year. And especially, like, a lot of people, Penn State fans, national media, whoever it is, basically anybody that is not an Iowa fan, their main takeaway from that game is, well, Iowa's offense is still terrible. They can't, when it comes down to a Big Ten championship game against Ohio State maybe, or a playoff game, if we were to make it there, they're like, oh, they'll get boat raced by 30 by so-and-so team. 23 points is the most points that Penn State's defense has given up all season. So it's not like we were playing like a really poor defensive team. Penn State was just legitimately also very good on defense, and we found ways to score a little bit more than they did. And I don't think that should be understated, because the talk after the game, there's been a lot of revisionist history with this Iowa team throughout the year. Like, play Indiana before the game. Indiana's good. We beat them. Well, Indiana wasn't that good. Play Iowa State before the game. Iowa State's really good. Beat them. Iowa State wasn't really that good. That's happened kind of every time that Iowa has beat a good team that they played so far, and I don't want that to be the narrative after this game either, because Penn State's defense was really, really good, and so was our defense, but our offense found a way to be just a little bit better, and I think that's important to remember, because looking back at it, people are just going to be like, oh, well, our offense didn't play very good, but it had played better than any offense that had played Penn State so far this year had done.
Yeah, we got into the end zone twice, and then 3 shootout field goals. So we do enough to win, and honestly, that's all you need. So
at this point, that's all that matters. Down the road, it's going to matter more.
Winning doesn't have to be sexy, because winning is the most important thing of all. I don't give a shit if we have to win close, or we have to win by relying on our defense and special teams. There's a whole hell of a lot of teams out there in the country right now that would prefer that they were still winning ugly instead of losing. So, yeah, you know what? Iowa's brand of football is not for everybody. I'm okay with that because it works for us, and that's the only thing that matters.
Hell yeah, preach, Stin. Preach. The only final note I wanted to talk about from this game was the kneel down to kick away at the end. I
was not a fan of it.
I loved it.
Just if your
what's that say about your offense?
If your intention is like, we know that our defense is better than you, we're going to win it that way, I get it because of the way that we'd played the whole second half on defense. But at the same time, why not just give it to Tyler Goodson 3 times, run him between the tackles, say put both arms on the ball, and if you pick up a first down, the game's over anyway. But just kneeing it there, it's like if we're like they were no matter what giving them the ball back.
If that backfires, if the defense didn't stop them, people are wanting the coaching staff shot.
I would like to comment now.
I'm sure you.
I think it's genius because not only are you putting it in your defense's hands, you're putting it in the best player on your team's hands in Tory Taylor. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
That's step 1. Yep. Hold on. Let me finish. And then you let the defense take it from there. If they have to drive 95 yards in 30 seconds with no timeouts, so be it. I will take that every day of the week. And then you look at for example, the Minnesota Vikings yesterday were up 16-6 with a couple minutes to play. Detroit kicks a field goal to make it 16-9, and then the Vikings are just trying to run the clock out, and they fumble it inside their 20-yard line. Detroit scores on the next play.
Yeah. Are you forgetting what the Vikings then did at the end of the game, which was going the entire length of the field basically with like no timeouts to kick a field goal to win the game? Like you can't also
no, but I'm saying the running backs have shown that they do fumble from time to time for Iowa.
Kelly Martin does.
We weren't that deep in. Weren't we like closer to midfield? We
were almost on their side of the field.
So
also,
if you have that much faith in your defense at that point, why would you not run the plays? Run the risk of fumbling or whatever. Even if you fumble it, theoretically speaking, your defense is good enough to not let them score from that point anyway. It's not like we were on our own 15.
I feel like you have a bigger chance of a disaster happening on a punt than you do on just we're going to run it up the middle. So, like, on a punt, it could be blocked. You could have a bad snap. Like, the snap could be fumbled. It could be returned. Like, there's a lot more variables that go into a punt as opposed to giving Tyler Goodson the ball, being like, put two hands on it and just run up the middle. Don't try and get extra yards. Don't try and be fancy. Just do something. I don't agree with that decision.
I love the decision. I'll always rather have a team drive 75 yards at the worst in 30 seconds without a timeout. I'll take that.
Also,
you watched the Minneapolis Miracle happen as well.
Luke, you're the biggest proponent out there. Literally, I saw you tweeting yesterday when everybody was missing kicks left and right in the NFL that's why you play aggressive. Play fucking aggressive at the end of the game and win it with your offense. If you got the ball and you can run out the clock and win it that way, why the hell are you not trying to do that?
Okay, I was also saying play aggressive at that point because they had missed 5 straight game-winning field goals.
I'm just saying, like, if you have the ball with a chance to get one first down and the game is over, like, you don't have to be fancy with it, but, like, just ice the game that way. I don't know. Like, it doesn't matter, and that's why we can have a conversation like this where we're kind of just, like, busting each other's balls about their own opinions on it because we won, so it doesn't matter. But I just think it's like a mind-boggling decision to me because just run the ball 3 times. If you get a first down, the game's over anyway.
All right. Anything else we should touch on here?
The Penn State players being fakers.
All right, yeah. Okay, I'm not for booing players when they're hurt, but after
they
the first...
They weren't. If the Iowa coaching staff and the national broadcast that's calling it are both calling out like players on Penn State for faking injuries, it's not just Iowa fans making something up at that point. Every single time Iowa had a little bit of momentum on offense, every time they picked up 10 or 15 yards, some dude would inexplicably go down and then be back in the game one play later.
No, that's what I was going to say, though. Like, it started happening eventually, and I'm like, well, fuck this. I started booing them because I know that's not real. It would literally be after every time Goodson would rip off a run.
R.I.P.
Thoughts and prayers.
But Clifford was actually hurt. I'll give him that much. But
yeah, they had some legitimate injuries, but then they were also just like some of it wasn't real, and you can't convince me otherwise. Like the Iowa coaching staff is not one to like make like big exaggerations or make fun of other people. You saw LeVar Woods literally like mimicking the guy that was standing fine and then realized that we just busted off a big play and like fucking collapsed to the ground for no reason at all. Sat there, didn't say anything to his trainers for 30 seconds, walked off the field under his own power, and was back on there one play later.
Didn't walk off the field, like jumped up and like ran off the field.
Yeah.
Anyway, the other thing that's worth noting that makes Penn State fans butthurt is that we stormed the field. I knew we were going to take shit immediately once I saw people coming on the field. I don't give a single fuck about it.
It's not that deep. It is an excuse for college kids to do something they consider to be fun. And you know what? They do it in high school after every time you win. Why does that have to stop in college?
Yeah. And let's be like, so it's a bunch of 18 to 22-year-olds that have like basically 4 years of opportunity to do it, and not even that, because you don't storm the field unless A, your team is really, really good, which Iowa is, or B, you beat a team that's really, really good. Like, those things just don't come together that often. So if you get the chance to do it, let them do it. Nobody got hurt. No property got destroyed. Like, it was literally just a bunch of college kids having a good time. If you are seriously going to sit there in your throne and bitch and moan about a bunch of kids going out there and having fun after the biggest win in Iowa City in 36 years, you need to fucking check yourself because you're just a douchebag at that point.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I've never been on Kinnick's Field before, so I stormed. And I can guarantee you there was way more there. It wasn't just 18 to 22-year-olds out there.
Either way, it's just a cool thing to do. It's a fun thing. You don't get to do that often. It's free.
When the game was over, I tweeted from our account. I said that Iowa takes down number 4 Penn State, and then I said, yes, we stormed the field. Yes, I'm not sorry about it. Like, who cares? Did you see Texas A&M got fined like $100,000 though?
$250,000. You want to know what's even funnier about that? So, first of all, Alabama fans live in like delusional world when it comes to football because Nick Saban has only had an undefeated season at Alabama twice in his entire tenure there. So, more often than not, they lose at least one game a season. I know it doesn't feel like that because Alabama is just kind of like this crushing power in college football, but they lose one game almost every single year. And they act as if they're like a below 500 team every time that they lose. Their radio announcers were so upset by that game-winning kick that they didn't even acknowledge it. The Texas A&M guy kicked the field goal, and for 30 seconds, their announcers, the radio guys, just sat there and didn't say anything. And then when they finally did say something, the first thing that their radio announcer said is, and Texas A&M is going to be getting a $250,000 check or, fine in the mail from the SEC as their fans are on the field. And I'm like, get bent, buddy.
Yeah, and especially if you're Alabama, you still have a very good chance of making the playoff with one loss. So what are they even mad about here?
They're just delusional.
Whatever. We know they're assholes, so that's nothing. But we should be moving on here to Penn State or Purdue, not Penn State again. That'd be tough. But I mean, Purdue, they've beaten us 3 of the last 4 years, and there's really only one note to talk about. They don't run. Their leading rusher this year is only averaging 44 yards a game, so that's nothing. Their quarterback isn't flashy. He has more interceptions than touchdowns. We all know the name we're going to say. It's David Bell. And his 2 games against Iowa before this year, he has a combined 26 catches, 318 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And this year, he's averaging 7 catches a game, 110 yards, and he has 3 touchdowns on the season. So he hasn't missed a step. He isn't going to do it again, is he?
I don't know. I don't think so. We're better this year than we pretty much ever have been. And also with Purdue's rushing attack being essentially non-existent, they average 1.9 yards per carry. At that point, you can pretty much sit in your base 4-2-5 for that entire game and challenge them to try and beat us with the deep ball, because our front 4 should be able to handle their rushing game by themselves, so we can sit 7 guys back in coverage and pretty much just take that away from them. And yeah, I know that's kind of what Purdue has been the last however many years, and they usually find a way. It can't be this year. It goddamn cannot be this year, especially because there's no way Iowa's overlooking them because they've beat us 3 of the last 4 times we've played them, and because of the expectations that Iowa is now carrying with them after the 6-0 start. There is no chance that we allow David Bell specifically to beat us. Even if he does have a big game, which he probably will because he's just that good, there's no way that he does enough by himself for Purdue to win this football game.
And the defense has to be prepared, right? Because, Hankins, Corner, Merriweather, Moss, but, they've all played against Purdue multiple times, and they've all played against David Bell. We have to know he is their weapon. He is who they're going to go to on offense. We have just got to be prepared for that.
Yeah, I mean, people wanted to say the Maryland game was a trap game, and it kind of, it did have the makings of a trap game, and people will say that about Purdue as well. But I think it's much less this way for Purdue than it was for Maryland, simply because Purdue has had our number. There's no way the coaching staff is going into that game thinking anything besides, we need to beat these fuckers, finally. So yeah, I don't know. And maybe I'm still just riding the wave of optimism and the high of the win against Penn State, but I don't see how Purdue beats us. I don't. It's another sellout at Kinnick, so I'm sure the crowd is going to be electric again. Like, it's Iowa's homecoming. We're ranked number 2. There's so many factors that are going into this game that just lets me refuse to believe that Purdue gets us again this year.
Yeah, like I said, I don't have many other notes on this game. This Purdue team is not as good as they don't have Rondale Moore to back up David Bell. Like they don't have other weapons that can support David Bell being open. David Bell is the guy. If we shut down David Bell, I think we win very comfortably. It's a big if because he has owned our asses for the last 2 times we have played. All right. But, Stin, Joey, did you have anything else you wanted to say about this game at all?
Nope.
Not really, no. I mean, let's just go out there and get the dub. Keep the vibes going.
Lockdown on coverage. We'll be fine. Treat them like they're, well, maybe not Alabama. Treat them like they're Georgia. Go out there and absolutely kick some ass. All right. We're going to hit a few sponsors quick before we go on to our draft of candy bars, favorite candies, not just candy bars. So before we do that, though, Rolling Hills Pork, Farley, Iowa, West Henderson, the best pork products you'll find on the market right now. You call up Wes. His phone number is 319-461-5520. You can get your hog slaughtered, prepared however you want, whatever you want. He's the man that will fix you up real nice. Winter's coming, so you're going to want to get your cooler or freezer full stocked of meat for the colder months coming up. Middle of December, bust out a few ham steaks if you want. Or maybe it's a nice fall day out. You want to grill up some brats? He's your man as well. So Wes Henderson out of Farley, that's the guy you want to talk to. 319-461-5520. And you know we like to bet our fair share of sports here at the Hawkeye Tailgate Report, but it isn't always easy to find a reputable source. At Hawkeye Tailgate Report, we are big fans of BUSR.com. BUSR is our go-to location for all sports betting and online gaming. Bet on your favorite sports events today, including NFL, NBA, college football, MLB playoffs, and more. If you're into betting the ponies, BUSR also offers the best promos, bonuses, and odds of any online racebook. If you pride yourself as a savvy sports bettor, it's easy to see that BUSR offers the best value for your buck. Head over to BUSR.com/studentunion today and check them out. That's where we're placing the HTR lay all season. And, fellas, we kind of came close this weekend. Us 3 got it right.
We lost on a push, didn't we?
No.
Space Cowboys.
We missed the under in the Maryland-Ohio State game.
There was an absurd amount of points that game. 66-17 or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's Ohio State. I don't know what Space Cowboy was thinking there.
Ohio State, Maryland. 71 is a lot of points. I'll give that to him.
Not for those 2 teams?
Yeah. Not for those. I mean, Maryland has made their bread this year on just scoring points, essentially, having a really good offense. And we already know what Ohio State can do, so be better next time, Space.
All right.
Also,
so we're
because I said that, it made me think of something else here real quick.
Yeah.
I love and think that it's hilarious that the Iowa defensive backs refer to themselves as the Doughboys.
Yeah, that is great. All-time paper heading in Daily Iowan today. Doughboys cash in. Great.
All right. So what's the draft order going to be here for the candy draft?
I think it's my turn to go first, right?
I have no idea.
It is.
I feel like I never go first.
You went first last time.
Oh, yeah, I did, didn't
You
I?
went first last week.
Chain restaurants, yeah. Sorry for freaking out. Are we drafting 4?
Might as well. There's a lot of candy.
All right.
Yeah.
So Joey,
Number 1.
who's 2?
If you won 1 last week, it should be me, probably.
Yeah. All right.
Going with candy bar here. Kit Kat. Kit Kats are just the best, and you can get them like in the bag, like with the little ones, like already unwrapped. Those things you can just pop in your mouth, and I could eat a whole big bag of those bastards.
Kit Kats do hit.
They're so good. No, it's just the regular ones, though, like the white chocolate ones, all those. They're still good, but they're just not even close to the same.
Have you tried the mint one?
No.
It's actually way better than you'd think.
Well, I'm sure it's... I mean, I like mint stuff, but...
All right, Stin.
Yeah. All right, we are going to go with Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, specifically just the original Reese's Peanut Butter Cup, because that version is way better than, like, the holiday shapes. I don't care what anybody says.
This is one of your worst takes.
It is not. The ratio of chocolate to peanut butter is better, and, like, the edges around, like, the cups of the normal peanut butter cups are, like, they're a little bit thicker, so there's a little bit more bite to the chocolate.
Yep, I agree.
They're better. They are better than the shapes. I will fight you. And I think the peanut butter tastes different in the other ones, too. I'm not going to lie.
No, I get the crisp thing, though. Like, the edges, it makes a big difference.
There's a little bit of a bite to it.
It's a maniacal take.
No, it's not.
All right, I'm going to go with my favorite type of M&M, and it's going to be the peanut butter M&M.
Those are...
What?
Those are good.
It's not the best type of an M&M, but they're good.
I feel like they aren't made the same as when they first came out. Because when they first came out, I was like crazy for them, and now they're like just good.
No, I still think they're pretty good.
Yeah.
I like peanut butter M&Ms. I'm not going to say it because somebody might choose it later down the line, but like, I enjoy the peanut butter M&Ms. I can't like kind of just snack on those ones all day long though. There's another version of the M&Ms where like anytime I go past a bowl of them, I'm grabbing a handful every single time.
See, that's what I grab a handful.
I know.
Are you going to take them later?
Well, maybe. Probably. I don't know.
So I won't mention my thoughts on them then. Well,
I mean,
everybody knows what we're talking about.
I mean, you should, but well, Luke's got another pick here.
I think I'm just going to take it because I feel it's safe. I'm going to take Snickers. You can never have a bad Snickers, you know? It's like my McDonald's pick last week. Is it your number one choice? Absolutely not. But you know what you're getting every single time.
You'd be hard-pressed to find somebody that wouldn't eat a Snickers, I feel like, unless they had some type of peanut allergy.
In which case, probably don't eat a Snickers.
In a bowl of, like, candy bars, I'm more of a Milky Way guy myself, but I do fancy a good Snickers from time to time.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. All right. Since I basically just said it, I might as well take it here. The goat version of M&M's is the peanut M&M. It's just better. I mean, I don't know.
Only bad thing about peanut M&Ms is once in a while
you get a bad
peanut.
A
weird peanut. You get a bad
Every once in a while,
nut.
you do get a bad nut.
A disgusting nut.
Yeah,
that is true. That is true, but the peanut M&Ms are just the goat. It's like the perfect combination of the salty sweet. They got the nice crunch to them. They're awesome.
Yeah, so this is where I'm going with the peanut M&Ms over the peanut butter M&Ms. It's kind of like what you said with the Reese's, the chocolate, the
shell is
I like the crunchiness all the way through the bite with the peanut M&Ms.
Yeah, no, they're good. I'll never argue against them. They're perfect. Like at like family gatherings, holidays, and whatnot, you always have a bowl of peanut butter or peanut M&Ms.
Peanut M&Ms, yeah, and literally every single time I go past a bowl of peanut M&Ms, I will take a handful every single time. Maybe that's more of a me problem than anything else, but it's just a fact. All right, Joey, you got two picks here.
Joey.
Okay. My absolute weakness, like I walk into Casey's.
I know what you're gonna say.
I don't think you do.
I don't know, Joe.
I don't know.
My absolute weakness, like I walk into like a convenience store or whatever, and I head straight for like the fruity, like chewy, like any type of fruit chews, but Sour Patch Kids are just like...
I thought you were going to say a different thing, but I won't say it right now.
Sour Patch Kids are just so damn good. They have like a perfect consistency for me. They're not like too sour, but I could sit down and just get rid of a whole bag of those in no time.
See, I'm not
Solid
a
pick.
huge fan, but
What's your favorite color?
It's gotta be blue.
Yeah.
They're all good though. It's not like one of those where like I have like a very specific
Yeah.
least favorite color. They're all pretty good. What's your blue?
Yeah, blue. Has to be blue.
All right, so it's back to me.
Yep.
This is one I think you might. I think you. This is the one you were thinking of. I've been really on a big kick of these lately, and I don't really know what made me even try it, but I did Reese's Fast Break.
Oh no, not what I thought.
Really?
You were gonna say.
I've been on a huge kick lately. They are like, again, I'm a big texture guy when I eat.
They're almost like a Take 5, right?
No,
Reese's has something like that as well.
Yeah,
though.
no, yeah, but this is just like it's just it's like a lot. It's thicker. It's a little taller, but it's just like regular Reese's and then nougat underneath it, which on paper doesn't sound that good, but those two textures combined, mwah, so good.
All
Now
right,
it's up to Stin.
Yeah. All right. I'm also now taking one from kind of the fruity, chewy spectrum. We're gonna go with Starbursts.
Oh,
I mean, first of all, like just the original plain pack when you got your pink, your red, the yellow, and the orange. It's great. The orange is it's very meh, but like the pink and red are incredible, like out of this world good. And then there's also like all the different kind of variation flavors that Starburst has too, and all of those are also very, very good. Like they're so chewy and like so juicy, the juice-stratic equation, as they like to say. I don't know how they do it, but yeah, Starburst always hit.
very much. That was gonna be my last choice. All right.
Oh, this is tough.
Officer takes.
All right. With my second last pick, I'm gonna go with Nestle Crunch Bars.
Okay.
I like
Don't hate
the same with the texture thing. You get the crisp, and then you get the little pops when you bite into the. I'm assuming it's Rice Krispie in there or something.
It has to be.
Yeah. So you get that. Chocolate, always good. Any arguments or anything?
No,
I wouldn't take it personally, but I don't think you shouldn't have. I think it's a pretty good pick.
All right. And then my last pick, I'll go with the chewy, fruity one as well. I'm going to go with Mike and Ike. See,
those never did it for me.
they didn't.
I love Mike and Ike's.
See, at the bowling alley in Farley, they have a little machine in the back. Take a quarter, twist it, you get a handful. I could eat those all day. Yeah, just a solid candy.
Oh yeah, I used to eat the shit out of those when I was bowling league and stuff.
And Mike and X never did it for me. But hey, to each their own.
All right, back to Stin. Wait, did you go twice, Luke?
Yeah, he went twice.
Okay.
Yeah, he went Crunch and then Mike and Ike's. All right. For my last one here, I think this is I don't think you guys enjoy it as much as I do, but I'm a big fan. Just a good old Twix bar.
No,
Pretty
see,
right.
I do like Twix, but I feel people really don't like it. Like,
See,
I love Twix bars. I especially love, and I think that this is where Joey's going to disagree with me on this pick even more. The cookie part that's underneath like the chocolate and the caramel is the best part of the Twix.
yeah, no, I think so too. Especially when you like put them in a fridge for a little while and they crisp up real nice.
that's like one of the worst texture candies of all time.
Oh, no way.
You get that fucking dry ass cardboard mixed in with the good gooey caramel. Ugh.
No. Twix are good. That
Yeah,
cookie on the bottom is elite.
I agree. And then Joey, rounding it out.
Oh man, I know this is one where I'm gonna just hate myself when we're done because I'm gonna have thought of some that I definitely should have put in here over this, but Airheads are phenomenal. It's a big nostalgia pick for me too because like back in the day,
Everybody the shit out of those at a ball game.
ball games, basketball games in middle school, like little league games, and everybody always did the old thing where you got them and you grabbed one end and you shook like a motherfucker until it was all just up in a little ball at the end. Yeah, those are delicious. I got a couple of those a few weeks ago, actually, for the first time in a while.
Speaking of those and being at a ball game, they're pretty much the same thing. Do you remember, like, back in the day, the old, like, huge freaking Laffy Taffy bars? And there was the one that had, like, the, like, sprinkles on, whatever the hell it was. And then there was, like, the watermelon one that had, like, seeds in it.
Those are awesome.
Those ones, the watermelon one's blue. The other one was better.
They're all good.
Yeah. I think those things just don't exist anymore,
No,
though.
I had one, like, a few months ago.
No shit.
Yep.
I never liked Airheads that much, so I won't say anything about it. But I did have a few honorable mentions. I feel like my first honorable mention's 100-gram bar. Those are big slept on.
Where did Mom have those at tailgating or somewhere?
Yeah.
I just had a couple of those somewhere, and they were, I hadn't had one in a while.
And my probably number one honorable mention, and this one is probably really slept on, kind of even off the radar, I would say, salted nut roll.
Yeah.
Those things are awesome. It's just like a bunch of kind of salted peanuts around a nougat core. My grandpa used to always have those around the house, so it's kind of a nostalgia pick for me as well. But those things hit.
I would also like to give a shout out. Nerds themselves suck, but Nerds ropes, they clap.
Nerds ropes do go hard.
Yeah, they do. The regular candy is just garbage. I don't know how that's legal.
Like that's like you're like super hard up for something, and that's like all that's left. That's when you eat Nerds.
No, I would never just eat Nerds.
Not even like if you're like at the candy jar in middle school and you're like, that's all they have, Nerds. You would just turn it down.
I would turn it down.
Come on.
You ate your fair share of Nerds in the day. Don't lie.
Also, my third favorite M&M I want to give a shout out to, the fudge brownie M&Ms. If you haven't tried them, very, very good.
I have not.
This might be a take. I don't know that it'd be popular. Probably one of my favorite M&Ms is the minis.
No, those are good.
No, I can get on board with that, yeah.
Piles of the mini M&Ms.
It's because you can fit like 10,000 of them into your mouth at once.
Yeah. And they used to come in the tube, you know?
You just literally just pour the tube straight into your mouth when you were eating it.
Another one I thought of taking this because I do eat them a lot. I didn't know if it counted as candy. I didn't want to have a situation again. Twizzlers, like specifically the nibs.
I'd count those. Those are delicious.
I don't know what else it would be considered. Like licorice is a candy.
A snack.
Those are.
Is there a difference
awesome.
between a candy and a snack?
Yes.
If it's sweet, I think it's more of a candy than
a snack is more like a bag of chips, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'd argue a salted nut roll is more of a snack then, by that logic, right?
No, it's candy. It's just more savory, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's got a nougat center, so...
Just because it's salty doesn't make it not... I mean, so here we go. All candy is snacks, but not all snacks are candy, right?
Yeah, I can get on board with that.
Okay, I think I follow you.
Yeah, it's kind of like all rectangles are squares, but not all squares are rectangles, right? Or is that backwards?
Stop.
No, that's right.
No, all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares.
Yeah. Geometry. Shout out, Miss Blair.
All right. You guys got anything else you want to talk about?
Nebraska lost again, which is funny. Although, I think that honestly that might be our most difficult game remaining on the schedule because, like, Nebraska, their record is what it is. Like, they're not that good, but they're playing teams well. And even in the last, 2 or 3 years, Nebraska has played us very tight down to one-possession games. And I especially think that, like, obviously it's pretty well known that there's bad blood between Iowa and Nebraska. So, they have that kind of history already. And, if Iowa finds itself in a position where they're going to Lincoln for their last regular season game and they are 11-0 or whatever, playing for what their aspirations are, it gives Nebraska kind of even more reason to play spoiler, especially because Nebraska, plays games against, Iowa still. They play Wisconsin still. They still play – did they play Ohio State already, or do they still have to play them?
I don't know.
Battle it's going to be a battle for Nebraska to reach bowl eligibility at this point. Like, they need 3 more wins or 4 more wins to get there. So it's not a given. So honestly, at this point, I think that is our most difficult remaining game. So, and I do love watching Nebraska step on their own dick and finding a new way to lose every week. But that game concerns me more than the rest of the games in our schedule.
This just in. According to Tom Pelissero, John Gruden just informed his staff that he plans to resign as Raiders coach.
Shut up.
No shit.
Yeah, I guess tonight, like in the last little bit, more stuff, some emails of his came out that were not great, I guess.
Oh, man. Going to be a hot night on SportsCenter. But,
this guy.
All right.
Man.
Well, anything else?
Trouble.
Going once? Twice?
Fuck Nebraska.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to another episode of the Hawkeye Tailgate Report, everybody. Iowa-Purdue this Saturday at 2:30. We love 2:30 kickoffs. You can subscribe to the show on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at HTR_pod. Also, check out our Facebook page there. You can follow all 3 of us on Twitter at Myers_Luke is my Twitter handle. Joey's is at JoeMama2196. And Austin's is at MyersAustin. Thanks for listening, everybody, and go Hawks.